It's a real honor and privilege for me to introduce New York State Senator Zellnor Myrie. Senator Myrie is a Brooklyn native and affordable housing advocate, serving the 20th Senate District, which includes parts of the Brooklyn neighborhoods of Brownsville, Crown Heights, East Flatbush, Gowanus, Park Slope, Prospect Heights, Prospect Lefferts Gardens, South Slope, and Sunset Park. During his first legislative session beginning in 2019, Senator Myrie served in leadership roles on several major legislative victories in the areas of housing, criminal justice, and election reforms. Having grown up in a rent-stabilized apartment at the epicenter of the affordable housing crisis, Senator Myrie was honored by its Housing Reform Working Group, which produced New York's strongest affordable housing and tenant protection laws in generations. He also served as chair of the Elections Committee and as a member of the Housing, Construction, and Community Development Committee, among others. We're truly grateful to have Senator Myrie here with us today to share a few thoughts about the importance of housing to health and the work that he's been doing in Brooklyn. Thank you very much for being here, Senator Myrie.
Thanks so much for having me, Amy, and really thank you to the entire consortium. I'm excited to be here to offer some very brief remarks. I know everybody did not come to hear me speak, but to hear our awesome panelists and get more information. But I just wanted to share how grateful I am for the work that all of you do. I'm happy to have this be Brooklyn's inaugural consortium annual event. Brooklyn is in the house always, and very grateful to our partners in the Bronx who have been doing this for almost a decade. The intersection between health and housing is something that is very personal for me. I grew up on Flatbush Avenue in a rent-regulated apartment. I still live on Flatbush Avenue in a rent-regulated apartment, but also had severe asthma and eczema as a child. And as many of you know, those two things are very much related. And those conditions, asthma and eczema, are related to your housing environment. So it wasn't just me growing up. Many of the children in my zip code disproportionately suffer from these ailments, and many of the constituents that I have across central Brooklyn also suffer from those same ailments. And so when we talk about health and housing, it was one of the drivers for me when I ran for public office. I knew that in 2018, we were coming up against a really important deadline to renew our rent regulation laws. And I have about 60,000 rent regulated units in my district, in addition to the one that I live in. And I thought it was very important that we take a leadership role in protecting affordability for our constituents. And with help from many people, including many of you on this call, we were able to pass one of the most progressive rent regulation overhauls in this state's history. But there, of course, is still much more work to do. I have the honor of representing Brownsville in the state Senate, and I represent about 23 NYCHA developments. And we know that amongst many of the ills that face our public housing portfolio, lead, paint, and poisoning is something that is prevalent there as well. And so there is always a direct connection between our housing conditions and our health conditions, and that has only been exacerbated by this current pandemic. I'm sure many of you saw recently that there's at the precipice of the release of studies that show when eviction moratoria are ended, that COVID cases go up, and that housing is literally in this pandemic a matter of life or death. And so I have sponsored what I believe to be a true eviction moratorium for the state of New York. We are hoping to get that across the finish line, but I'm to work with all of the folks in this consortium and all of our allies to protect housing because it is, of course, a health issue as well. So to NYU, to all of our partners, to our sponsors, thank you so much for allowing me to be with you for a little bit today. I pledge to be a partner in making sure we can increase opportunities for our folks in the health and housing space, and I'm grateful for this time that you gave me this afternoon.
Great. Thank you so much, Senator Myrie. We are so pleased to have you here, and thank you especially for your steadfast advocacy for quality, affordable housing for the people of Brooklyn. It's obviously an issue that's near and dear to our hearts, and we hope to continue working together to achieve that. So thank you so much for being here.